Hi everyone, it's Patricia Ann here again with my guest host Tommy D.
And we will be reviewing the Brisas Hotel in Santa Lucia, Cuba. Now, as I do all the research for Patricia and I usually don't pick a hotel that's on the first page of TripAdvisor because usually the reviews are not the greatest for a good reason. So when we went here, we were kind of a little bit down on the dinero. So I had a choice between this hotel and another hotel down the road. So I flipped a coin literally after a day of research. I flipped a coin to say, okay, heads, tails, and I picked Breezes, which is was a good idea. It was luckily it came up tails, I believe. So we are in Santa Lucia is about an hour from Camogay. Santa Lucia is more of an underdeveloped part of Cuba. It's not Havana. It's not Veradero. It's not it's a kind of a obscure part of Cuba.
Is it in the northern part?
It's in more like the central part. It's about 4 hours north of Holguin.
Okay.
So you're in an area where it's fairly, as I said, fairly underdeveloped. Even the staff told us that. So we get there and get into Camagüey, and Camagüey, well, you land at the airport, and it's one of the few places where they actually lock the airport. When you leave, you get on the bus, you turn around, and they're actually locking the door for the evening, which you'll only see in Cuba.
Yeah, it kind of freaked
Now
you out.
we've been to Cuba so 4 times. So so this is known as a 4-star in Cuba, which is more like a 2.5, 2, depending on what day you are. So you remember it's Cuba 4-star, but in reality it's about a 2.5 star hotel slash motel. So we get there and the beaches are great, beautiful, beautiful, most beautiful beaches in the world.
White powdery sand.
Powdery sand,
Beautiful.
beautiful breeze. That's what I love about Cuba is the breezes, the nice, cool breezes you get. So in other countries, you don't sometimes get that kind of nice, cool, refreshing breeze. But this was a very compact, small resort. Come in, we got there pretty late, about 9:30. We went there in September, which is an offshoot of normally going in wintertime. But we went there in September. It was only a few Canadians. One couple we met named Robert and Rosa. They were kind of a funny couple from about an hour north, east of Toronto. They're both retired civil servants, and I'm like, "What are you guys doing here? Like, you should be staying
Yeah.
at a 5-star in Havana because you got the dinero."
Right.
We were a little tight on the dinero at that time, so it was like I said, a coin flip. Okay, I'm like, okay, I just want to see some sunshine and some palm trees, and I'm good.
Right.
Well, actually surprised. First night was cool. We had your typical 2-star Cuban hotel experience and international TV and this and that. And then we met a sales rep. She upgraded us to a honeymoon suite. Really sweet woman, really nice. I wouldn't say the staff is overly friendly.
Adequate.
It's adequate. They're not going to go over out of their way to make your service a better experience. The buffet, I have to say, depending on when you go, when the Cubans locals came onto the resort,
The food was good.
the food got much 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 better. But unfortunately, they ate a lot of the food, right? So you really got you're like fighting in the line with all these tigers to get just what you got to get, because they'll pile on 10 pork chops on one plate for the whole family. When you get there, you got to give the guy a tip so you get even two.
It's true.
The buffet itself, you won't starve, but you're not going to be overwhelmed,
Or impressed.
over impressed. So
It's
it's not.
edible.
There's no Michelin stars. They got a thing about spoons down there. I don't know, they seem to hide spoons. It's really hard to find a spoon.
Yeah.
So I kind of struggled with the buffet to find something that there's no pizza, there's no burgers, even just a lot of vegetables, and I ate a lot of bread because we're not foodie people, but even here I was struggling for the food. It was a lot of
Rice.
it was rice, but it was just different. It was definitely a 2-star experience. I was really struggling to find anything that I liked. So I just ate a lot of bread, a bit of cheese, and some coffee. I just, like I said, yeah, I ate a lot at the snack bar for hamburgers now.
Breakfast was better than lunch,
Yeah, it
actually.
was actually,
Breakfast was
yeah,
good.
yeah, it was.
Your omelets and
Right.
coffee
So
and
the
stuff
thing
like
is, when
that.
you're around all the Cubans, they're the locals that flood onto the resort. They're not rude or anything, but they eat everything. They just, like, all they do is eat, right? It's like, so you feel kind of guilty because you're sitting there eating some bread and cheese and they're on their third plate already. And then the food gets better, the booze gets better. When they leave, it all just goes back down. Now, I'll say about the drinks, if popped if you the drinks, I would say, if you really loved watered down rum and you love your beer that tastes like rubbing alcohol mixed in with hops, you'll actually like the bar here. Unfortunately, I really struggled again. I just drank a lot of just watered down rum and coke. I bought my own bottles of rum because it's just, it's a 2-star. Come on.
But if you wanted the
But
Cristal that was in the fridge,
yeah,
that was good. That
if
was in the bottle.
you paid for it,
Yeah.
the Cristal beer is actually in the bottle is excellent. So, anyways, we get to the fun part. Again, I don't have obsession with Russians, but the Russians are.
They seem to follow us.
Yes. So all of a sudden, the Russians flood the resort, and the lady was telling me, the waitress was telling me there's 180 Russians coming on, and I said, "Oh, you must be really happy." And she says, "No, she's really upset." I go, "Why?" She goes, "They don't tip. They never tip." And she's right, they don't tip. So 180 Russians came onto the resort, and we had to carry our own bags in, whereas they carried their bags for them, right? Within an hour and a half, they took over the pool. They took over the music. They took us now Russian techno, like John Wick, like that kind of music. Have you seen John Wick? The Russians are really, really
They're
freaky
fun.
partiers. Once you get past their coldness and their obsession with Wayne Gretzky, I tell you, they're just freaky, freaky partiers. Okay, and they smoke. Man, they love to smoke. And the vodka and cigarettes, it's like their staple of diet, right? And they're just freaky, freaky partiers. And that's one of the things about travel is you meet people from different countries and different cultures. And my wife and I were talking to this Russian doctor who had a real thing for Wayne Gretzky. And him and this other guy I call the creep, he kept staring at Patricia with his legs crossed, smoking a cigarette, which I knew what he was thinking. And then the guy next to her is from Belarus, and they just came in from Moscow. This guy came in from Belarus to Moscow to Holguin, and Holguin 4 hours to this hotel. So they were party, hardy, party. The Cubans disappeared. Everybody disappeared. And the funny thing about the Russians is that the guys are usually about $4 in weight, and they wear these little tight Speedos, and it's like they think they're really hot. And the women weigh about 80 pounds, and they eat celery and a carrot stick, and they're done for the day.
I never saw them in the lunch hall at
Never,
all.
never.
Dinner.
Just the creep and his boyfriend a few times. So they smoke, but again, the guys are funny because, you imagine like a sumo wrestler with a pair of tight Speedos and sunglasses, thinking he's the hottest thing, and he's like Rico Suave. But again, the vodka goes quick. The watered down booze goes fast. And at the end, we had a great time.
Relaxing.
We had a relaxing time. I wouldn't say we didn't have a great time. We had a relaxing time.
You want to sleep,
Right.
eat, walk
Getting
around.
to the top of the beach bar was a challenge because one of the steps was missing, and plus some of the toilets actually smell worse than after they clean them. And I think they clean them with the same booze that they give when they give you at the beach bar. So, anyways, I won't say too much about it except that we were leaving. And they tried to charge us an hour of 30 pesos per hour to stay in the room, and was a 6-hour wait. And the lady gave us a pass on that. So you got to be really careful with these low-end resorts because they try to make up with the price by a lot of add-on fees, buying your own water, buying your own booze, buying your own food, buying your own stuff. So overall, it was a great experience. We came back to Canada. We got on the plane. Unfortunately, I ate the wrong ham and cheese sandwich. And
I did not, because I didn't like the look of it.
Right. And then we come back, and I'm coming to Toronto's airport. fighting for a toilet with this other guy who had got there just ahead of me. And that was pretty well the end of the story. So I hope you really enjoyed it. And just do your research when you travel. This is a hotel where you stay on the resort because you really don't need to go anywhere. Like Camel Gay is an hour and a half away, and they charge you a fairly high price. You can't take a local bus, so you got to pay like as they call gringo pricing. The staff wasn't very friendly, unfortunately. I mean, you get what you pay for. This is a resort that we were happy to have gone to, but we wouldn't go again. The entertainment was okay. Again, back to Robert and Rosa. They were Robert and Rosa were this funny couple. Robert and Rosa went on this excursion. They were the only ones that went. Nobody else went. Right?
On a catamaran.
Right. The Russians won't go because they don't tip, and the Cubans just stay in the hotel. So and there was only like us, Robert, Rosa, and like 2 other Canadians. So Robert and Rosa invited us over to go to the seafood a la carte. Now, we just ate like an hour and a half ago. So Patricia said, I'll stay in the room. And I said, okay, I'll go. So I get there. And when I get there, they're waiting. And Robert has this habit of disappearing. He just disappears into nowhere, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'll just have like, there's us and some couple from Colombia. We had a few Colombians there. So no Russians. They don't go in these kind of carts. The Russians just drink vodka and eat hamburgers and party. That's all they do. Freaky partiers. They're, again, not so much racist, but openly racist. They just don't, I'll have to say this, they don't care what you think.
Anyhow,
okay?
back to Robert.
So no, they don't care. So they just don't care. So anyways, that's the fun thing about them. It just kind of freaks you out a little bit. So if you're politically correct, you probably pass out. And they love to smoke. So clouds of smoke. So anyways, so between the creep, Patricia's boyfriend, the new boyfriend from Belarus, and the doctor who smoked a pack a day, who was a surgeon in Moscow. And I kept thinking about his poor patient probably laying there when he's smoking a cigarette over the guy. So we give it to Robert and Rosa, and Robert is sitting there, and the guy brings over this guy who looks like he's one of those guys in The Sopranos, but he's Cuban. So he walks over and he says, what do you want? And I said, I'm just going to have the rice and whatever. And Robert and Rosa order their, whatever they order, shrimp cocktail with this and this. So now this is a 2.5-star hotel. So, you don't know how the la carte's going to be, right? Brings over the shrimp. I just had a watered down rum and coke. Brings over the shrimp cocktail. And Robert and Rosa are both Filipino, but they retired civil servants. I don't know what they're doing there. It's like the Kardashians staying there. I don't know, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. We were kind of broke at the time, and they had money. I'm like, why are you here? Mm-hmm. So Robert and Rosa order this shrimp cocktail. I know it may sound a bit boring, but anyways, Robert and Rosa. Robert's sitting there. Now, Rosa had dragged Robert to every excursion on the resort. Their TV didn't work. She didn't care. She was in bed at 9 o'clock at night. Robert had nothing to do. TV didn't work. He didn't care. He didn't tell anybody. So Robert was just so burnt out from going on all these excursions, and nobody went but them, okay? So like every hotel, they have excursions. Well, it was just Robert and Rosa going on the bus, right? So again, the Russians don't go anywhere. They just party. They just came from a 30-hour trip from Russia. They don't want to go anywhere.
So the shrimp came over.
Shrimp came over. Robert puts it and sniffs it, puts it aside. Rosa eats hers, right? Then their food came. Robert sniffs it, puts it aside. Rosa eats hers. And all of a sudden, we're talking away. Robert gets up, goes to the washroom. I'm waiting, and all of a sudden I think, hey, Rosa, maybe, something happened to Robert, maybe he, got sick, maybe he fell down the toilet, I don't know. And she just says, no, he probably just listening to the music. We get out at the la carte, go outside, And there's Robert just standing there like a 10-year-old watching, listening to the music. I go, okay. So even to this day, when Patricia disappears, well, I always say, you're pulling a Robert and Rosa. A Robert and Rosa on me, right? Because she just disappears
And
into
they
the
tend
bedroom.
to do that. We'd be
Yeah.
walking and talking, and Rosa will just veer the other way.
Yeah, and Robert
not
goes the
say
other way,
anything.
and nobody says goodbye. They just disappear, and they go, okay.
Very strange.
So, we're getting towards the end of the last night with the Russians, and so goes to Patricia and her boyfriend and the creep. So the guy comes up and he says he's, drunk as a monkey, right? And he says, what are you drinking? Because their English is terrible. They're trying to learn English, but it's hard. Russians don't speak English very well. So between talking about Wayne Gretzky and Canada 72 series, they were trying to find out about Canada and information about our country and what we're like and that. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up out of nowhere, and these guys have been partying all day. So he's like 23 years old. He's got Rush on his shirt. He goes, "What are you drinking?" I said, "Just water, because it was our last day. We're heading home the next day." And he goes, "Water? You're on vacation." All of a sudden he yells out, "Russia!" And he walks away. He goes back into the pool and swims, right? And we're laughing because they're just really freaky, funny party people, right? And you don't get that with a lot of places. So
basically, it's a 3-star, 2.5-star, but you do have a good time, and there are good times to be had. It just depends on your budget.
Yes, and it's the kind of hotel that you're not going to go there for a great time. You're just going there for a good time. The power goes out about an hour a night, which is kind of freaky because the whole resort goes pitch dark. Robert was actually going to move there and live down the street. And I'm looking at him like, okay, you're in the middle of nowhere, Cuba. There's no Shoppers Drug Mart or Walgreens.
Nothing.
There's no Walmart. You're in 1946 here, okay?
Just a gas station.
That's
and a
it.
Coffee shop.
Yeah, it's like something you see out of the 1920s in the southern U.S., right? So I try to, convince Robert, like, maybe it's not a good idea to be moving here. This is just a hotel, right? Outside of here, you're in regularville, Cuba, right? So luckily I was able to talk Robert out of this. I don't know if he ever went back. But so we get on the bot. Luckily we got a deal where we didn't have to pay 10 pesos per hour to stay in a room, which would have been about $70. Now remember, you got to be careful with these budget hotels because they make up their prices by extra add-ons and fees and such. So the money you would be paying for all that, you probably get a nicer hotel. Now we liked a beautiful beach. I still have it on my camera. I still have memories of this experience. But I love beach. I love palm trees. I love just sitting there enjoying the rum and coke. We were just there to have a nice, relaxing time.
But if you're looking for a party hotel on a budget, that's not it.
No.
So by saying that now too, I'll lead into another hotel we went to, Palma de Real. Now that's for the younger set, and it is what it says, a party hotel.
Oh my God.
That's for another time,
This
review.
is going to take probably a good solid half an hour between almost being killed in a horse and buggy accident and almost getting killed by a pelican going by me on the ocean.
And getting gassed in your room.
Yes, they
don't
don't tell you that there's a major gas refinery about 8 miles away from the hotel.
But that's in Palma de Real, and that's another.
Yeah, if you don't mind psychedelic LSD type dreams for 3 nights out of the week. But then again, that's another story because it's a full half an hour. But anyways, Santa Lucia, Brisas, would I go back?
Probably
No, I wouldn't. But I had a really good time and I enjoyed myself. Just when you go up to the beach bar, when you go up to the top, two things. Remember, there's a step missing on your way down. So if you're drinking or at night, you probably fall down the stairs and kill yourself. Secondly, I always have a standard rule: the more filthier the toilets, the better the food. No, it's true. I've never gotten food poisoning when I've traveled in my life, but I know Patricia thinks it's kind of wacky, but I always think the worst,
It's wacky.
the dirtier the hotel toilets are, the better the food's going to be. But in this situation, unfortunately, I had a ham and cheese sandwich just before I left, and it caught up to me. So maybe that's a rule I might want to change as I on my next adventure.
Hi everyone. So that's Tommy D's account, and definitely we'll be talking about Palma de Real. I think it's called Palma Alegre right now in Veradero, Cuba. So
As I said, oh my God, the stories about Palma de Real.
yes, that's for another time. So this is Patricia Ann and Tommy D signing off, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.